Okay, I see here. Looks like you're playing white this game. You drew
Yep.
against high rated player, so that's cool.
Yeah, pretty high raid. Yeah.
And okay, you were just telling me about this tournament, but why don't you let everyone else know? So, what was this tournament? Is it an open tournament?
Yeah, it's more or less so I live in Waco, Texas, and if you don't know where that is, it's like kind of smack in the middle between Dallas and Houston, Texas. I mean it's a relatively like small but growing town from what I know. So our local chess club is, it's pretty small, but it's actually kind of thriving actually. So we just
Hmm.
have a tournament every month, a rated tournament, just to kind of mainly like let us, play competitively against each other, and we also welcome other people from Texas to play. So, if you're in Texas and interested in some fresh competition, then you could always reach out to us. But anyway, so
Nice.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, I'm like going into these events, I'm generally between like the second and fourth highest rated player. And there are like about like maybe 12 players in the open. So
Hmm.
like, my first games were like all against lower rated players. I drew like a 1300. So I got paired down against a couple 1200s, which I was able to win those games. But like, now all of a sudden I'm paired, against this 2000 player. He's the Waco Chess Club like champion. So
Uh-huh. Is he
and he,
consistently like the top seed?
oh yeah, like consistently. I mean, sometimes we might have someone from like Dallas come and he's like the number one seed, but like he's like conventionally the best player in Waco. And for me personally, because like I'm like I don't want to sound like arrogant or anything, but I'm kind of known to be the second best player in Waco. It could be debatable, but
Nice.
yeah, if you're listening and you're from the chess club, you might argue. I'm not sure, but and I try to be humble about it. But anyway, but like I mean, even he, Jason, even he says like he even like kind of gushes over like how I'm his like second best competitor. But well, anyway, it's just like against him, I always have like a hard time like playing him like. And he's like, I think he has like a lot of experience, and like I always just like mess up somewhere, like generally out of the opening, like I get a bad position or I blunder or something. So like he himself is kind of like a psychological like hurdle to jump over. And
Right.
let me silence those text notifications real quick. Sorry about that.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So
no worries.
yeah. So it's always a psychological hurdle to jump over because I always like blunder a pawn or blunder a piece or do something bad. But like, I mean, this time, I did blunder a pawn like early on, and I think looking back at the game, I didn't like make the best decisions necessarily for my position, but I was able to like hold on to a draw, and he was pretty upset to say the least. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's always tough. I remember growing up in Southern California, I would play the same high rated players like in open tournaments over and over again. And
yeah,
yeah, even though I was like improving, it was still tough because they had already like beaten me multiple times by the time I'm
right,
like at least
yeah.
having a fighting
Yeah.
chance.
Yeah, and I don't know how fair of a comparison this is, but I've always heard like Anand when he was still in his prime. I mean he's
Hmm.
still brilliant, but like I mean when he was like playing all these top players, like he would do well against like everyone else except for Kasparov, and he
Right.
always just struggled against him. So I've always kind of heard that and kind of thought that was an interesting comparison.
Yeah, sometimes you have either this like kind of style mismatch where
Hmm.
one player's style is just very uncomfortable for another player's style, or
Yeah,
you have a situation where it's like two players have a very similar style, but one is just like slightly better, and so they're just constantly like outclassing someone. So I don't know what it is
yeah,
about like Vishy and Kasparov. I think at
yeah,
some point it's just kind of like a psychological thing because like Gary is known to be pretty intense at the board.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
And I can't even say I'm not even sure I'm in the top 10 of where I live in the Bay Area because there's so many GMs
Yeah,
here.
yeah, it's pretty strong down there. Yeah,
So it's cool that you're like yeah, like fighting for the city championship essentially.
yeah.
Okay,
I
and
mean
what
like
was
last year.
sorry, what was the time
Yeah.
control?
Uh, It was like game 45 delay 5. So like
40.
yeah, I mean since we're like, it's the Waco Chess Club, so a lot of our players are just kind of working adults or whatever, so we don't really have time for these like long time controls. So just kind
Yeah.
of keep it at game 45, it's time to think, but like not your traditional like FIDE open or whatever.
Right. Are these 2 a day or all 4 in one day?
It's just all 4 in one day, which
Wow.
can get pretty stressful sometimes.
Yeah. So if I got you right, this is round 4, and how many points were you on at this point?
So I was on 2.5 out of 3. He was also on 2.5 out of 3, and this other kid, who's like 1900 or something, was on 2.5 out of 3, but playing someone else.
Oh,
So it's all kind of a 3-way tie for first place, and we're essentially playing for yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh, hey, Warnaki in the chat and Flying Sheep. These guys they're almost always here. They're ready to watch the streams. It's awesome. I'm always assuming I'm just gonna get like 0 viewers, but people come through. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're playing white here. D4, E6, C4, knight F6. Go for the nimzo. E3. Okay, B6, bishop D3. Oh yeah, and what's your score against Jason? Or just approximately?
It's depressing. I mean, I want to say I've played him 15 times, and I've maybe got 4 draws out of it.
I see. And you wins?
No, unfortunately not.
Okay, maybe we'll have to maybe look at the other games so we can just. I mean, I think if we see 15 games of his, we can just prepare you against him properly, and
maybe, yeah.
Then you'll be good.
Yeah.
Okay, and have you had this opening before against him?
Yeah, one. Yeah, I think at least one other time. I think because generally on move 4, I generally would play Queen C2, and he would play C5 and get in these sharp positions. But yeah, I just decided to kind of try E3. I felt like it was a more quiet game, more for my style, and he even told me after the game that he thought it would be better for me. So but yeah, I recall one game I had against him. And this time to variation because he ended up playing, as we'll see in the game, he played knight e4 and f5, and I think back then I just wasn't as knowledgeable of the theory, and he ended up telling me that I don't know if he told me, he probably did, that I want to play knight d2 then f3, just kind of because it's all about the e4 square in this opening. So it was just kind of something I had improved on from previous play.
I see. But this is the first time you're playing the E3 line. Is that right?
I think I'd played it one other time.
And how did that game go?
I'm pretty sure I lost. I think I was doing well, but I allowed some sacrifice on the king side, and just kind of went downhill from there.
But do you remember how the opening went there?
I don't remember for sure. I just remember I didn't really ever go f3 at all, and so it's just pretty lackluster from there. So
okay,
it's kind of what I remember.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so knight f3, knight e4, queen c2, f5, castles, takes with the bishop. So yeah, this is kind of very typical stuff for the nimzo-indian. This is what it's all about. Black gives up the bishop, gets these double pawns, strong knight on e4. And yeah, you definitely need to be playing for f3 here. Okay, so you go knight d2. So were you still following the book here? Because you're in theory, you were aware of this during the game?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know 1,000% sure it was theory, but I just kind of knew that I wanted to go knight d2, then f3 if it was safe. So I guess kind of yeah.
Oh, okay, but okay, I see. Yeah, so you basically knew the plan, but maybe not.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
knowing the theory super deep, because there have been some fantastic players here. It's like Li Chao versus Anand. I'm seeing Wang Hao Nakamura, Wang Yugashima, Wang Hao Ivanchuk. I guess Wang Hao is playing this a lot with white. Okay, so queen h4. Yeah. This is still main line. F3, knight takes d2, and I see you put queen d2. And probably correctly marking it here as dubious.
Yeah, it was just kind of a psychological thing. I just realized after the game, immediately as I was reviewing this the first time, I should just play bishop d2, then just, play from getting my bishop out, via e1. And because I don't know, I just thought there was something smart about queen takes d2, but bishop takes is just better.
Yeah, queen d2 does happen in the Bogo Indian. I don't know if you know this opening at all, but well, sometimes white plays knight f3 here, and then black really wants to play a nimzo type of position anyway, so they go for this, but this allows white to play knight d2. And here, whenever black gives up the bishop, then of course white doesn't have to double the pawns, and the main line here is actually queen d2 by a wide margin. So this idea does exist, and the point is to put the bishop on b2. But yeah, like you said, the bishop there is really just better on e1 and g3 mainly, because it can get out this way. This is also kind of a common idea. Like, you see it in the French, and even in like the Stonewall, or black has this like horrible bishop on ca goes to like d7, e8.
Yeah, for sure.
And then comes out. And then yeah, it feels nice just because it's always nice to win a tempo against the queen. I don't know if it's like always objectively great, but it always feels good. So
yeah, it just seems practical here. Yeah, for sure.
And okay, so let's see. I mean, you might get this position against him next time. I imagine he goes either knight c6 or let's say knight c6 here.
Yeah.
How to continue?
Yeah, the thing says rook a b1, and I mean I can see how it kind of plays against Loop's bishop, but otherwise it's kind of hard to understand. But yeah.
Yeah, let's see how this Wang Hao game went. I'm just gonna insert it.
Sure.
Well, he played a4. Okay, random move.
Okay.
f6, rook f2. Okay, so black is just kind of going for like the kingside attack. Rook b1. e5, c5. Oh, so that's the point of rook b1.
Yeah.
So you're opening this diagonal, and then you're also kind of trading off one of your weaknesses. e4. Oh. Wow. What a position.
Yeah. Interesting for sure.
It looks really nice for white already here. Just kind of like, okay, you got all the dark squares.
Yeah, it looks like you kind of shut out black's attack like for the moment.
Yeah, because now the rook on f2 is just defending everything.
Yeah, if he tries to go all out with like g5 or something, I don't really even think I have to like take it, and I can still be solid. I mean, yeah, it just looks solid.
Yeah, probably you don't have to take it. And then, so one day this bishop is going to show up on c3 here for sure.
Yeah.
Because you're moving this guy somewhere, and you're pushing c4, d5. So, okay. I guess we can see kind of the potential here. It's like, yeah, white is playing with the two bishops. This pawn on f3 is really important, just like blunting the long diagonal. And then you're just looking to maybe play for this c5 plan.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's an easy fix for the opening. It's not common where you can just know like exactly, okay, I play this move, next time I just have to try this other idea.
Yeah, like an improvement of like the theoretical knowledge. Yeah.
Okay, so queen d2. All right, now we're basically leaving theory. Hey, pass pawn 9999 in the chat. Thanks for checking out the stream. Oh yeah, so the other thing is this bishop on a3 is famously not great in the nimzo against this like c7 d6 structure, or God forbid the pawn gets to c5, then the bishop really feels shut out.
Yeah, for sure.
But okay, so queen f2, yeah, I think any endgame here is very comfortable. Queen f6.
Yeah.
Queen g3. Okay, interesting. So you didn't repeat here.
No, yeah, I mean, I guess it just never really crossed my mind, and
wow,
yeah,
that's incredible. I mean,
no, yeah,
so many students here, if they get this position, their opponent might be high rated by like 3 points. They're gonna repeat.
yeah.
No, that's great that you didn't. I mean, you could repeat one. So the benefits of this is, of course, you understand that Jason is playing for a win, right? 100%.
Yeah.
And so this forces him to kind of find another move, even though you don't necessarily want to make a draw. You know that like you're kind of playing chicken with him, and you know that he's gonna avoid it before you do.
Yeah, for sure.
Because he has much more to lose. You lose kind of like, okay, the chance to like play an interesting game, but he loses that plus like a bunch of rating.
Yeah, for sure.
So there would be some logic in just repeating, because then it just forces him to play a new move. Maybe he plays rook a8 or something, and okay, game continues.
Yeah, just kind of see what he does. Yeah.
okay, c5. All right, you put this as a mistake. So why is this bad exactly? Something concrete?
Yeah, because so there's a line, you know, the kind of the line goes, well, I don't know how best to explain it. I'll just kind of reveal what happened. I mean, I guess, just basically black just plays a5, and my bishop's almost trapped, and his only square, and there's really no other like intermediate move I can make, so I have to go bishop a3. Then these two bishops are, they're both loose, so he can take, I guess with the b pawn would be best. I'm thinking the b pawn since c7 would be loose. So he could, bottom line is he could take, and if I take back, he would take on c3 with the queen and fork those two bishops. So that's kind of the tactical idea I missed when I played c5.
So did you calculate a5 at all? Or you just missed the move?
0. I just totally neglected it.
I see. Hey, we're getting a raid from Chessweeb.
Nice.
So thanks, Chessweeb. That's actually a very, very strong channel. You guys should all follow it immediately if you don't already, because it's run by a couple of GMs, and they do quite a bit of streaming and playing and stuff. So by all means, I think people should be following them.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, let's talk about this moment. So yeah, of course, like when you're playing chess, that you should be kind of aware of your opponent's like potential ideas.
Right.
I mean,
sure.
Are you sure, like, when you're thinking about c5, I mean, it seems like, a5 you just kind of discount it, right? Because you always have bishop a3.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, and I think I was so like kind of tunnel visioned on my idea. Like it just looked attractive. Like because if he does kind of like strike on c5, like c7 is loose along with the bishop, and I think I was just so tunnel visioned on like my idea and like didn't really take the time to like ask myself, okay, so what forcing moves does he have? Oh, he can play a5, and now that's just winning for him. So yeah, I think that's what happened.
I see. Well, okay, it's not quite winning yet, but yeah, clearly.
No, yeah, I mean it wins a pawn, but yeah,
grabbing a pawn there. Although sometimes white plays this type of thing as like a pawn sacrifice, because you do get like, you get the open b file.
Yeah.
And then these pawns in the future they are kind of weak for black. So for example, like, well, usually rook ab1 would be kind of the natural follow-up, just to ask the question to the bishop. What did you think about this move?
I think, again, just kind of another human thing. I think I just probably totally panicked here when I realized I just lost a pawn and just kind of played what I thought was the most natural move, which was bishop b2. Yeah, I didn't really think about that much. I mean, it looks natural now that I look at it.
Yeah, I mean, there's let's say a strategy that suggests that, if you blunder a pawn, you should at least pretend like you sacrificed it.
Yeah.
I think it just helps for like psychological reasons.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Hey, we have a gifted sub from Pass Pawn to Pawn Grubber, so thanks. That's awesome. Yeah, Pawn Grubber actually was asking a question about just to clarify what I meant by like repeating moves earlier. So the point is mainly that since you're playing a high-rated player, they're definitely not going to want to draw in some kind of equal position. And so that means that here, he played knight a5. He thinks this is a good move. But after bishop b4, knight c6, if white then goes back and we kind of assume that black doesn't want to draw, then he's forced to find a different move here. And like if he had a different move that he liked, then he would have just played it. So in some cases it can be a little bit uncomfortable for the opponent there, because we know that they don't want to draw, so they're not going to want to repeat the position. But then if they actually do repeat and say that they're okay with the draw, well, you still have a chance here to avoid the repetition. So here you could play bishop b4, knight c6. This is the second repetition, and now white has an opportunity to play on. So you can play c5, which, okay, is not a good move, but you have the option, or maybe a4 or something. So yeah, instead of c5, what do you think you should do? Let's say, okay, forgetting the repetition.
Yeah, it's in this position. So yeah, I mean, I don't really think I need to. I mean, it goes without saying, when I played c5, I'm not really worried about this. If he takes, that just fixes my pawn structure for free. I'm trying to trying to see. I looked at this a little bit with the computer, like, not too much, but a little bit. I feel like e4 might have been a suggestion, which makes sense. I mean, just kind of expanding in the center. I think kind of the idea, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm just kind of, going to hold the center and just kind of not release the tension, because, like, say he just plays something, I don't really want to, I don't think I really want to take, because I just feel like it just kind of defeats the whole purpose of, playing e4. Now it would just kind of be, solid for black. They have the open e file, and now I'm starting to now there are kind of questions about my pawn structure, I guess, from here. I mean, black could maybe play for like c5, if he has the ability to. I mean, I don't know. There might be some like ramification from that, but I feel like e4 is probably logical.
So e4, usually the idea here is just to keep the center, and you would just try to like build up here with rook a1. But I think a potential issue might be just knight takes d4. I'm not sure if this is working, but this would be a problem.
Yeah, it would be. I get. Yeah, the bishop, right?
So I don't know. Maybe the engine sees something
no,
here,
might
but it would
be might have just been a totally different position. But yeah,
it would be a miracle. No, e4 is definitely an idea. Yeah, it just has to be prepared. I mean, maybe with the queen on f2, it might be playable here.
Yeah.
But then we really can feel that the bishop is just going to be better placed on like e3.
Right, for sure.
And
yep.
This diagonal. Yeah, actually, I'm thinking even here would have been better just... So queen d2 maybe is not even that bad. But maybe you follow up with queen f2 and e4.
Yeah.
Knight takes d4, e5. Oh, let's check that. All right, so it was here, e4. Oh, right, white has e5. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, that's a tactical shot, but yeah.
That's a nice one.
Yeah, for sure.
So f4. I guess we're kind of grabbing a piece here with white.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, maybe knight d4, e5 actually is not working. Let's just check this. I'm very curious. Oh, I'm sorry. Knight takes b4 is like.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's nothing to calculate.
That's like that. Yeah.
But okay, knight takes d4 would be good, except for e5. And this is good for white. All right. Now we know. But knight b4, okay, definitely a big problem. So yeah, your bishop on b4, it's loose. So maybe the best move might be bishop a3 just to back up, and then revert to this plan like rook e1, bishop c1, e4.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
All right, so yeah, once you lose the pawn, I mean, the important thing here is to try not to just immediately collapse, because the game really isn't over. You still have a lot of drawing chances. I mean, you obviously know because you drew the game. So
right, yeah, for sure.
Clearly, something
it's
must
still
have
a game,
happened.
Yeah.
But even objectively, it's like just looking at like the pieces, it's very easy to see this position going into an opposite color bishop position, which in the long run gives you some chances. And black's bishop isn't particularly strong against your pawn chain.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think maybe it would be better to do something like rook a b1, because you also feel like you might be able to take on c5 here. Just looking at this. Because if it takes on c3, we have rook b3.
Yeah.
And then we're taking on d6 here, or rook fb1. I mean, suddenly looks quite good for white if this happens.
Yeah, there's some pressure for sure.
So I'm wondering, maybe black plays bishop a6. Just trying to trade off like one of white's bishops. Takes. I don't know, it feels really messy because you're threatening d6. c7 pawn is hanging, so black can't really go like d5, which would be nice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have the open b file to yourself. You know, if you're white. Yeah.
So some activity here. I mean, queen c3. We're still going rook b3 with tempo, and then queen goes somewhere, and we're gonna take on d6.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It really doesn't look clear to me. Maybe black has something to do. So let's take a look. Okay, so Stockfish is giving bishop a6 as the only move. Otherwise, white is fine. Take dc. See, here black would have to find knight e5 to actually keep an advantage here.
Yeah. Huh.
The knight kind of comes to c4, rook comes to c8. Okay, then d6 pawn is like secure. That we can kind of understand. Okay, so white is definitely worse there. But he would have to find all this, right? Like,
right, yeah. I mean, like, 95, I mean, maybe he could find it, but it's not intuitive for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of moves here for black that I would consider. And yeah, I might land on knight e5 eventually because you realize you have to hold the d6 pawn, but
yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, like, so just comparing it to the game after bishop b2, then it's like black can play any move and they're keeping kind of an extra pawn advantage.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's an important thing. I often have to think about that myself. When you make a mistake, it's so easy to continue making mistakes. One of the biggest things you have to do is like figure out a way to let's say not keep going down, like down the slope, so to speak.
No, yeah, and like, you know, I was telling you earlier how like I just kind of have like psychological kind of trouble against him. So like when I realized I blundered the pawn, I was like, oh no, here we go again. Which that might kind of be one of the psychological barriers, you know, between me being able to actually be a bit more competitive against him. Just like, you know, one, just maybe not blundering in the first place, but when I do, just you know, making sure just kind of sit tight. And I really like that point, actually, just pretending it's a pawn sacrifice because instead of that you blundered a pawn.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. No, I remember seeing that even like a Caruana Carlsen game where Carlsen clearly, he was playing white. He clearly overextended a pawn, and then Caruana just started making moves to like start rounding it up and taking it. And it was pretty clear, I mean, just looking at like, you know, the engine evaluation, that Carlsen didn't really have much compensation, but he continued very like confidently and aggressively. And then he had good drawing chances, so you know, it almost worked out for him.
That's why they're world champions, you know.
Yeah. No, it's a real thing, like psychologically. It happens in a few cases. So one is like when you make a mistake, you're trying not to make more mistakes. The other thing is when you're pushing and you have a big advantage, if you let it slip a little bit and you realize that, it's important not to like go crazy and just you know, let the advantage just completely slip as it often happens, but to keep looking for just like, let's say, the most accurate moves in every situation. But I get it, yeah, with like, especially given that your opponent has a good score, that yeah, you just feel like, oh man, I already blew it.
yeah, for sure.
Okay, so you go cd4, knight b4, bishop c4.
Yeah.
d5, go back. Yeah, I mean, now the position, I mean, is really good for black, so it's really up to him to,
it's just a stall pawn up
to try to convert it.
Yeah. So like, you know, this was my next comment. It was basically just like a human evaluation, because I think the Stockfish still likes black after, you know, bishop a3, you know, because, you know, during the game I was like, oh cool, you know, there's that going on. And so I think there might have been like some like, I think black like messed up here somehow. Like there might have been some like variation where he could have kept his pawn. I'm just not entirely sure what he could have done.
Right. Yeah, no, it seems like he allowed exactly this like opposite color bishop's position, and then
Mm-hmm.
This position already looks very unclear, because if black
Yeah.
isn't able to hold on to like this b pawn, then I mean, okay, if we imagine like the A and B pawns are just getting traded, then the structure is never going to be great for black. With you kind of just blockading the square, there's never going to be a pass pawn.
Yeah, for sure. I'm kind of randomly wondering, like, if he has, like, oh, no, like, later on. Kind of wondering here if he has, like, B2. I feel like maybe I was looking at that, and,
yeah, this seems critical. Let's say rook B1, take on A2. Oh, wait, F8 is hanging.
Yeah, there is that. Yeah, maybe it's just something totally different. But yeah, that just seemed kind of interesting.
But even, I mean, without this one, I mean, C7 hanging too. I think white is just picking up the pawn if we really wanted to.
Yeah, for sure.
So no, I think he... Well, do you remember during the game, did it seem like he blundered bishop A3? It seems like something a player blunders.
Yeah, it seemed like he just, like, kind of missed bishop A3. I mean, to me, like, I don't really think he expected it. And, again, I think he might have had, like, some defense or something later on, but I think he just kind of missed it overall.
Yeah, I would expect that, because, I mean, most players, they just kind of intuitively feel like if you're trying to convert, you don't go for opposite color bishops unless you have like a direct attack, right? Here his bishop is pretty passive, so it's almost never going to work out. Yeah, I think he blundered this. I mean, it's kind of surprising, but at the same time not really, because everyone does this. We just miss our opponent's chances. And like A4, it feels like such a strong threat, like you're just hitting the bishop, you gotta move the bishop, but actually turns out not really.
Yeah, sure.
So then, okay, I think the engine was saying here, like, he should have played some knight c2 move or something.
Yeah, I remember that.
I don't know, actually, I feel like d5 is kind of a weird move, to be honest.
Yeah, I kind of think he just knight c2 as well, yeah.
Yeah, this is just surprisingly awkward to meet for white. I guess if you go queen f2...
the rook just drops, right?
Oh, sorry, I'm just taking on a1. Yeah, actually, why did he play this?
I think that's just a pawn.
Yeah, I'm not really getting what he missed here.
Yeah.
He just played knight b4, bishop c4.
Yeah. I mean, maybe he, like, thought that when he took on e3 that he was opening the e file for me. Well, I don't know in what situation that would be the case, because I don't know, something like knight c2, maybe rook c1. I mean, my bishop's under fire, so I'm not sure, because I was thinking otherwise, like, maybe he just didn't like the pressure I was coming. But I mean, my bishop's under fire, my rook's attacked, so I'm not sure, like, what I could have done. And yeah, I just don't like this position.
No, nothing looks good here for white.
Yeah,
to me it just seems like a blunder. I don't know, because I mean, it's there is stuff to be scared of, like, okay, rook b1, let's say, knight takes c3, d5.
Yeah.
But like, you don't have to look at this for that long to see that it's not gonna be.
No, yeah, you just have to play accurately.
Yeah, I mean, everything is hanging for white. Yeah, it's kind of strange.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and what was the time situation? Oh yeah, d5. Blue Crew says knight takes f1, also working for black, and just hitting the queen on g3. Yeah, that's a good find. So yeah, what was the time like here?
I don't remember. I have been in the habit of writing down the time, but like I just kind of stopped it. But I should get back to it, I know. I would guess I probably had like 20 minutes left, maybe like 15, something like that. It's like just game 4a5, delay 5, like, straight up. So like, if I use up a lot of time in the opening, which I didn't really in this particular game, because, I kind of knew the theory there, but, anyway, your time could run out pretty quickly. So like, that's kind of one of the challenges of these kind of, dual raid events. But yeah, I'd probably guess in that ballpark.
Okay. So we get this endgame.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, trade rooks, rook a7. Do I recommend writing times down? I think for classical games, I mean, it's not necessary. Like, I personally don't do it myself. Every once in a while, maybe, but usually I don't. But I think if you have issues with time trouble, then for sure you should, because then afterwards it's important to kind of review like where you spent your time and whether that was necessary or not. I've never actually had huge issues with time trouble. I've always been more of a quicker player, so it's never kind of been a thing for me. But if you struggle either with playing like too fast or too slow, I think it's a really great way to kind of keep yourself in check.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And I think, again, I think it does like kind of depend on the player and so I would just say if you just kind of don't manage the clock well, which for me personally, that's really the case. I'm more I just kind of take too much time. Like sometimes in these game 45 events, like if I don't know the opening, I might be spending like 20 minutes on the first like 15 moves or so. So problems like that should be kind of fixable. And I think it's important that if you do have trouble, just writing down the time and kind of reviewing like, okay, I spent like 5 minutes, on this move. Did I need to spend that time or did I only need like a minute? Because I think there's this such thing as overthinking. So I think, just making sure that you just, if you have problems with it, just kind of writing it down and trying to fix those mistakes.
Yeah, it's more of a thing as the time control gets shorter. Obviously, the longer the time control, the more time you have to kind of burn and look at random stuff. It definitely does. You definitely should be spending time kind of like as soon as you're out of book, or as soon as your opponent plays any move that like you don't know exactly what the book move is. You should spend at least a little bit of time there. But yeah, it's hard to figure out, especially for rapid and like G45. I think is still pretty fast. Because there's a lot of concrete stuff in the opening, so it's not like you can just make natural moves and you're always fine. Like there's definitely stuff to consider and calculate.
Yeah, I agree.
So, okay, looks like here you're taking on c7, and it's going to be very hard for black to achieve anything. Okay, bishop f1. Guess he gets some pawns here.
Yeah, for like a split second here, after king e5, I thought, oh, am I checkmating him somehow? Like king f6, but he just kind of takes on h2 and then goes here and destroys all my dreams. But yeah.
I see. But you're still taking a lot of pawns, huh?
Sorry. Yeah, I'm taking his pawns, and he just kind of has to simplify.
Right. Wow. You really...
Yeah. just yeah.
You really forced the draw there.
No, yeah, he he just kind of, he was frustrated. I think he'd still want to maybe push for something with the H pawn, but when I play bishop takes G5, he was but yeah, it's just a clean draw there.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I guess it isn't immediate. It's probably the fastest way to just draw the game instantly.
Yeah.
So many players would be stubborn. It's like, okay, if I don't have to give up my bishop and draw, then what's the point? But here, this is pretty clean. So there's nothing really to calculate there. Yeah, very instructive game. I think I definitely remember making these types of mistakes when I was just starting out, playing nimzo-indians and stuff, where you kind of do awkward stuff with your pieces.
Yeah.
And then... Let's see. Yeah, blundering this a5, I actually think it's not such a huge tactical blunder, because the main thing is just not knowing that this bishop on b4 and a3 is always kind of awkward in the nimzo. So this kind of thing happens a lot. It just kind of gets kicked around.
Right, yeah, just kind of an opening thematic lesson. Yeah.
Yeah. But okay, well now you now have your improvement.
Yep, for sure.
Putting the bishop on d2, and you saw the potential. Maybe it'd be worth checking out some of the games that were in the database here. But when white's two bishops are working and you have just like rook b1, a4, c5, feels very nice for white.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, well, let's finish up there. Thanks for coming on and showing us the game. For those of you watching, I'm doing this for basically my my Patreon subscribers. You get to come on the stream and we analyze the game. And yeah, I just feel like it's useful for you. It can be useful for me as well because I'm not super well versed in all these openings, and I think this stuff is usually instructive for people watching as well.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, thanks for coming on. I'll let you go now, and talk to you soon.
Yeah, sounds good. Take care.
All right, see ya.
Bye.